Elon Musk stunned America in early September of 2025 with a warning few expected. 9 Kirkland foods at Costco must be recalled and destroyed at all costs. This isn't about rockets or electric cars. It's about the groceries retirees and working families rely on to stretch every dollar. If Musk himself says Costco shelves are laced with danger, how safe is your pantry, really? The timing couldn't be darker. Federal reports confirm food recalls in the U.S. have surged nearly 30% since last year, with salmonella, listeria, and hidden toxins leading the charge. That means every bulk purchase could be more than just a bargain. It could be a gamble with your health. What happens when the cheap protein you depend on carries a risk the label never admits? This is the Downturn Report, where the truth gets personal. In today's investigation, we dig into Musk's explosive claim about 9 Kirkland products at Costco, uncovering how they slipped onto shelves, why they've become such a threat, and most importantly, which safer alternatives you can turn to so your next meal doesn't become your biggest mistake. Number 1. Ding Dongs. September of 2025 opened with a gut punch to Costco shoppers across America. Hostess Ding Dongs were yanked from shelves after mold was discovered inside packages that hadn't even reached their expiration dates. For retirees balancing pennies and working families already crushed by grocery bills, this was not just a quality slip. It was betrayal wrapped in foil. What was marketed as a harmless treat became a silent menace, sneaking into homes under the disguise of chocolate comfort. It is the kind of shock that makes you stare at your pantry and wonder how much danger is hiding behind those bright wrappers. The recall covered family-sized boxes of 16 smaller cartons, and even the 2 cake packs sold for quick snacks. Worse yet, the products were sold and consumed right up to the 1st of September, which means countless households already swallowed the risk before the warning came out. Mold doesn't need an invitation. One breakdown on the factory line created a breeding ground, invisible until it exploded in kitchens across the country. Every bite became a gamble. Would it deliver sweetness or unleash sickness? That's not a snack. That's Russian roulette on a paper plate. The health risk for older Americans is chilling. Mold is not just ugly fuzz, it produces toxins that can trigger allergies, gut problems, and even breathing crises in seniors already juggling asthma or weak immune systems. Imagine a grandfather offering a ding-dong to his grandchild, unknowingly handing over what could become a hospital trip. It's not a spoiled dessert. It's an ambush in silver wrapping, a Trojan horse smuggled in through their grocery aisle. And here comes the gut-twisting question. If something as mainstream as ding-dongs can rot unnoticed, what else is? Lurking behind those factory doors, shielded by corporate press releases and glossy ads, executives scrambled to promise better oversight. Regulators claim they were investigating, but Americans have heard these hollow phrases before. Today it's mold, tomorrow it could be salmonella, and the next week a chemical additive slipping through inspection. When watchdogs limp behind corporations chasing profits, who is left to protect the shopper? In bulk warehouses like Costco, the problem multiplies. A single error doesn't stop at one town. It ripples through thousands of homes in every state. That's not an accident. That's a structural failure built into the system. And yet, here comes the irony. This mess pushes people back toward the very things corporations laughed off as old-fashioned. Some retirees now turn to smaller bakeries like Entenmann's, where you can ask the clerk what came out of the oven today. Others lean toward Little Debbie or Tasty Cake, where packaging issues are less catastrophic simply because the scale is smaller. Some even go further, relying on Sara Lee or Pepperidge Farm, believing that at least their brand history forces them to play safer. A surprising number even return to home baking, because when billion-dollar brands start looking sloppy, Grandma's oven starts looking like Fort Knox. The bitter aftertaste lingers longer than mold. If a ding-dong can betray us, what else is quietly lining the shelves? And when voices like Elon Musk warn that 9 Kirkland products at Costco must be recalled and destroyed at all costs, maybe this is the wake-up call Americans can't afford to ignore. Today it's chocolate cakes. Tomorrow it might be the chicken in your freezer or the water in your fridge. The recall is not just about snacks. It's about a system built on shortcuts, where every dollar saved in production becomes another risk dumped on working families. That's the real headline. Number 2. Apple juice. March of 2025 struck where it hurt most, right in the American memory of innocence and tradition. Martinelli's, those beloved apple-shaped glass bottles that felt more like ornaments than groceries. was forced to recall more than 170,000 bottles of its 10-ounce apple juice. The shock wasn't about spoiled flavor, but about patulin, a toxin born from mold in bruised or rotting apples, sneaking into a drink people thought was as wholesome as childhood itself. For seniors and working-class families, Martinelli's was never just juice. It was an affordable luxury, a little sparkle of pride in the pantry. To learn that every sip could carry poison was like watching trust itself rot in the bottle. The FDA labeled it a Class 2 recall in April, meaning temporary or medically reversible effects. But that phrase is bureaucratic comfort at best. Patulin isn't just about nausea, vomiting, or diarrhea. It is genotoxic, capable of damaging DNA, with animal studies raising alarms about potential cancer risks. Who among older Americans already juggling fragile health wants to gamble their future on a sip of apple juice? The golden liquid once poured at Sunday lunches now glimmers with menace, every glass a potential sabotage against the very body it was meant to nourish. The scope of the recall stretched across 28 states, blanketing shelves from California to Texas, New York to Florida. That meant no corner of the country was untouched. Costco's aisles may have glowed with Martinelli's 4-packs, amber bottles lined like treasures, but behind the shine lay a fungal stowaway. Imagine serving that juice to a grandchild, believing you were offering tradition, only to realize you'd been serving danger in disguise. That isn't refreshment, it's betrayal poured neat with a corporate smile on top. And what makes the cut deeper is that Martinelli's was a cultural symbol. For seniors, it carried the warmth of family picnics and holiday tables. For tight-budget households, it was a rare indulgence that looked fancy without straining the wallet. That this very symbol could collapse into scandal feels like a trusted neighbor suddenly offering you a poisoned pie. It's not just the juice that soured, it's the bond between brand and consumer. Now the question gnaws louder. If pure apple juice can betray us, what else is slipping past oversight? How many all-natural labels are hiding fungal fingerprints? If a product as iconic as Martinelli's can falter, what hope is left for the orange juice, the milk, or even bottled water sitting in our fridges? When regulatory watchdogs admit contamination after distribution, consumers are left exposed, sipping blind. But Americans are not defenseless. Alternatives exist, and they don't require blind faith in corporate bottling. Fresh-pressed cider from local orchards, often sold in cartons the same day, leaves no window for mold to breed. Pasteurized boxed juices like Mott's in aseptic cartons are treated to shut down pathogens before they reach shelves. Simple at-home solutions bring even more control. Apple slices steeped in filtered water for a refreshing infusion, or a splash of raw cider vinegar in sparkling water to make a tart, crisp tonic that's both safe and satisfying. Each option cuts corporations out of the gamble, putting sight and control back into the consumer's hands. So here's the question hanging heavy as a bruised apple. Do you want nostalgia or do you want safety? If Martinelli's, the golden standard of American juice, can be tainted, then the rest of the pantry deserves suspicion. Seniors, families, everyday shoppers, don't settle for shiny labels and hollow promises. Demand warnings that come faster, recalls that don't wait until shelves are empty, and products where natural is more than a marketing gimmick. Because what you drink should quench your thirst, not quietly rewrite your health story. Number 3. Eggs. Late in 2024, Costco customers were blindsided by a recall that shattered breakfast tables across the South. Handsome Brook Farms pulled more than 10,000 cartons of Kirkland Signature organic, pasture-raised eggs after regulators discovered they had been mislabeled and pushed onto store shelves. The FDA delivered the harshest classification possible, Class 1, meaning there was a reasonable probability these eggs could cause serious illness or even death. The silent culprit lurking inside the shells was Salmonella, an invisible invader that makes no announcement until it floors you with fever, cramps, and vomiting. By mid-2025, the storm only deepened when Country Eggs, LLC recalled cage-free batches in California and Nevada, linked to outbreaks that sickened close to 100 people and left nearly 20 in hospital beds. For shoppers who thought eggs were safe as sunrise, this was no simple misstep. It was betrayal in a carton. For retirees and working families, eggs are not a luxury. They're a staple, a protein lifeline stretched across tight paychecks. They fry into breakfast, bake into casseroles, bind into meatloaf. They carry trust in every crack of the shell. But this recall turned that comfort into fear. Imagine reaching for your eggs with the same instinct as breathing, only to realize the carton could be hiding a Trojan hen. Yolks laced with bacterial traps waiting to knock you down. That's not nourishment. That's a ticking bomb humming quietly in the fridge. The horror isn't limited to one farm's slip. Behind every cracked shell lies a fragile supply chain held together by shortcuts. Industrial-scale farms chase volume over vigilance, crowding hens into spaces where contamination spreads like wildfire. Distributors shuffle cartons across states before inspectors can blink. And when mislabeling sneaks into organic or pasture-raised branding, it's not just a clerical error. It's a deception that sells safety while delivering sickness. What happens when marketing departments dress up danger in green logos and wholesome buzzwords? The shopper becomes the lab rat in a corporate experiment. But the nightmare also reveals a strange truth. Americans do have choices, even when the system fails. Pasteurized liquid eggs in cartons offer the same protein without the bacterial roulette. Frozen, pre-cooked boiled eggs provide convenience with safety sealed in. And for those ready to step away from shell games entirely, plant-based alternatives like silken tofu scrambles, JUST egg, or even mashed chickpea egg salads deliver flavor and protein without the salmonella roulette. These aren't sacrifices. They're shields, letting families eat with peace instead of paranoia. And yet the deeper question stings. If even eggs, the bedrock of breakfast, can no longer be trusted, what food remains sacred? When cartons stamped with words like organic and pasture-raised conceal the risk of hospitalization, trust in the food system fractures. For older Americans, the sense of betrayal cuts sharper than any headline. It gnaws at the dinner table itself. The yolk has cracked wide open, and what spilled out wasn't just contamination. It was the ugly truth that profit can slip into your fridge wearing a smile. Number 4. Beef sticks. March of 2025 hit with a jolt that felt like biting into betrayal itself. Costco shoppers who reached for Chomp's original beef and turkey sticks. Those quick, protein-packed snacks many retirees and working families leaned on. Found more than jerky in the wrapper. They found cold, hard metal shards waiting like razor wire hidden in a lunchbox. Imagine sinking your teeth into what you thought was lean fuel, only to hear the crunch of steel grinding against your molars. For people already balancing prescriptions and medical bills, that isn't just unsettling. It's a brutal coin toss between saving money on protein and blowing hundreds on an emergency dental visit. The recall numbers paint a grim picture. Nearly 30,000 pounds of Chomp's jerky sticks, produced by Idaho Smokehouse Partners, were yanked off shelves after metallic fragments were reported. This wasn't a minor, local slip-up. The recall swept across 22 states, stretching from California to Illinois, creeping quietly through Costco warehouses nationwide. Federal inspectors verified the contamination. Officials insisted no injuries were logged, but anyone with common sense knows a single shard can rip a mouth, slice a throat, or even lodge itself deep inside the body like a ticking time bomb. That's not food safety. It's Russian roulette sold in vacuum-sealed packs. For retirees on fixed incomes, jerky is more than convenience. It's survival disguised as a snack. It lasts on the shelf. It fits in the glove compartment. It promises lean protein at a price that feels just manageable. But this recall exposed it for what it became, a pocket-sized trap. You grab it like an old pal, but instead of comfort, it strikes back like a knife slipped into a handshake. This isn't just spoiled trust, it's betrayal at the molecular level, and the deeper question cuts sharper than any shard of metal. If steel can slide into something as basic as a meat stick, how much faith should anyone put in corporate promises of natural, healthy, or premium? Today it's steel. Tomorrow it could be plastic shards, glass splinters, or chemical residues that slip beneath the radar until it's far too late. How many times do we need to see recalls before we accept the truth? Profit-driven giants don't guard our health. They gamble with it, but Americans are not powerless. Shoppers are learning to pivot. Instead of throwing dice with mass-produced jerky, some choose roasted chickpea snack packs under the Kirkland brand, where what you see is what you crunch. Others head for vacuum-sealed roasted chicken slices at the Costco deli counter, real meat you can inspect before a single bite. Still others build their own nut and seed mixes at home, taking back control from the factory floor. Even alternatives like Sabra hummus or Goya black bean dip in clear glass jars give peace of mind. You can see what's inside before it ever touches your mouth. These swaps keep the nutrition and portability without the paranoia of crunching down on stray hardware. So here's the blunt truth, delivered without sugarcoating. If a beef stick can hide metal inside, then every shiny label in the aisle deserves suspicion. Seniors and working families deserve food that nourishes, not wounds. The only steel in your life should be in your resolve. To demand transparency, to demand accountability, and to refuse to accept food that gambles with your health for the sake of someone else's bottom line. Number 5. Tuna. February of 2025 should have been just another cold month, but instead it ripped through Costco pantries like a silent storm. Tri-Union Seafoods, the company behind Genova, Van Camp's, H-E-B, and even certain Trader Joe's cans, was forced into a nationwide recall when their easy open lids turned out to be anything but safe. A tiny flaw in the seal let air and bacteria slip inside, building the perfect breeding ground for Clostridium botulinum. That's the microscopic assassin behind botulism, a neurotoxin so lethal it can paralyze lungs without warning. No smell, no taste, no second chances. A can of tuna, once the symbol of cheap, reliable protein, had been transformed into a potential death trap. The recall spread like wildfire. 7-ounce cans disappeared first from Costco shelves in Florida and Georgia. Then the wave rippled across more than 24 states under a patchwork of brand labels. The FDA issued its alert in early February, but the chilling words echoed louder when AARP, NPR, the Los Angeles Times, and even People magazine all repeated the phrase, potentially fatal. No illnesses had been confirmed yet. That's exactly what made it terrifying. Botulism doesn't rush, it creeps. Imagine enjoying tuna salad on Monday, feeling fine on Tuesday, and by Thursday, struggling to breathe as paralysis takes hold. That isn't just risk. It's Russian roulette for anyone who bought lunch meat on a fixed income. For retirees, canned tuna has always been a budget hero. Affordable, protein-rich, shelf-stable, ready for emergencies. But this recall ripped the mask off that hero, revealing something closer to a double agent. A wolf in a thrift store cardigan. Harmless on the outside, fangs on the inside. That familiar ring pull tab wasn't convenience at all. It was Pandora's box with a marketing label. If even tuna, the pantry's most ordinary anchor, can betray us so casually, what hope should we place in the rest of Costco's aisles? And here comes the gut punch question. Are these recalls exceptions, or are they the new routine? If a simple mechanical defect can sneak past billion-dollar quality control, what about chemical residues left on processing equipment? What about mercury levels regulators quietly downplay? What about pathogens clinging to shipments that crisscross the globe faster than inspectors can keep up? If oversight keeps chasing, not preventing, then every meal is one mistake away from catastrophe. But shoppers are not powerless. Safer paths exist for those willing to sidestep corporate shortcuts. Wild Planet's albacore and yellowfin tuna use triple-sealed cans built to withstand the very failures that doomed Tri-Union. Starkist and Safe Catch sell tuna in soft pouches, heat-treated and free from flimsy pull-tab seams. Costco itself offers Kirkland canned salmon with BPA free screw-top lids, a sturdier barrier against air and bacteria. And for those near the coast, local seafood co-ops provide vacuum-packed frozen fish, transparent and inspectable. Food you can see before you trust. Each of these swaps preserves protein without playing roulette with defective lids. So let's end with the sharpest blade of all. What's more frightening? That your tuna might poison you, or that corporations expect you to stay vigilant for their mistakes, instead of them preventing them in the first place? For seniors and working families, this isn't paranoia. It's reality. The pantry should be a place of safety, not suspicion. Yet if trust can rot in something as basic as canned tuna, maybe the next betrayal is already waiting in your cart. Number 6. Smoked salmon. Early in 2025, Costco shoppers who thought they were buying a rare indulgence discovered instead a nightmare wrapped in plastic. Kirkland Signature Smoked Salmon, produced by Acme Smoked Fish Corporation, was slapped with the FDA's harshest warning. A Class Y recall, after testing uncovered contamination with Listeria monocytogenes. This isn't your average foodborne nuisance. Listeria is the quiet predator of pathogens, capable of living and multiplying right inside your refrigerator, biding its time like a burglar camped in your kitchen. For retirees scraping pennies and working families trying to savor a little taste of sophistication, smoked salmon was supposed to be a safe splurge. Instead, it became a velvet cloak hiding a dagger. The FDA doesn't hand out Class 1 recalls lightly. This is the category reserved for foods carrying a reasonable probability of causing serious illness or death. That means this wasn't about flavor slipping or labels misprinted. It was about a bacterium sliding invisibly into your diet. And it is ruthless. Listeria doesn't announce itself with sour smells or slimy textures. It sneaks past your senses and hits the most vulnerable. Older adults, pregnant women, and anyone with a fragile immune system. One elegant slice of salmon folded over a morning bagel could deliver not joy, but meningitis, sepsis, or miscarriage. A delicacy turned into Russian roulette on a cream cheese spread. What twists the knife deeper is the sense of betrayal. Kirkland carries a reputation for bulk reliability, value without danger. Costco shoppers put faith in the brand, believing the private label meant quality assurance. Yet here was a product marketed as celebration, transformed into a Trojan horse. Imagine greeting a neighbor leaning on a cane, only to discover that cane concealed a blade. That's what it feels like when smoked salmon, the so-called safe luxury, turns into a loaded trap. And the deeper you look, the uglier the story gets. The FDA didn't just uncover listeria in finished packages. They found the pathogen lurking in Acme's production environment. Genetic testing showed a direct link between the contamination in the factory and the outbreak strain. That means this wasn't an unlucky batch. It was systemic negligence. The facility had been quietly manufacturing betrayal long before the recall notice hit Costco's shelves. How many warning signs were ignored? How many consumers were already put at risk while executives looked the other way? For retirees, the insult is twofold. That twin pack of smoked salmon wasn't cheap, especially on a fixed income. Throwing it away wasn't just throwing out food, it was throwing away dollars and the rare chance at indulgence. The bitter taste left behind wasn't only fear of listeria, but the question no one wants to ask: if even your luxury food is unsafe, what's left in your cart you can truly trust? But there are safer routes if shoppers are willing to shift. Costco's frozen section offers vacuum-packed wild sockeye fillets, cooked before sealing to lock safety inside. Canned salmon from Wild Planet or even Kirkland itself is sterilized at high heat, shelf-stable, and free from the dread of hidden pathogens. Local bagel shops often sell freshly sliced lox, bought and eaten the same day, shortening the window for contamination. And for the adventurous, a marinated tofu, lox, made at home mimics the flavor without carrying bacterial baggage. Each of these swaps returns control to your kitchen, where confidence replaces suspicion. So here's the smoke that lingers in the air. If Costco's so-called premium indulgence can betray us so easily, what does that say about the rest of the shelves? Should we keep trusting the Kirkland name, or is it time we take food safety back into our own hands? Shoppers deserve more than glossy packaging and corporate shrugs. They deserve truth, transparency, and food that nourishes instead of endangers. Number 7. Fresh and ready. May of 2025 ripped the mask off one of the biggest illusions in modern food, that convenience equals safety. Fresh and ready foods. Those polished little bistro boxes, sandwiches, and grab-and-go packs stacked high at Costco issued a sweeping recall of 86 ready-to-eat products, after Listeria monocytogenes was found crawling through their production facility. This wasn't just a Costco problem. Those meals slipped into hospitals, hotels, airports, and even airline trays across Arizona, California, Nevada, and Washington. The very foods marketed for ease became saboteurs in disguise, sneaking onto the plates of the most vulnerable. The danger window stretched from late April into mid-May, and by July, the Centers for Disease Control confirmed the worst. At least 10 hospitalizations and 1 death were tied directly to this outbreak. Some of the victims were hospital patients already battling illness, served contaminated food on their recovery trays. The irony is enough to twist the gut. What was meant to heal became poison delivered bedside. FDA inspections cut even deeper. This wasn't bad luck, it was a sanitation failure. Listeria was found clinging to production equipment itself, proving that the spotless kitchens shown in glossy brochures were nothing more than Trojan horses harboring pathogens. For retirees on fixed incomes and families scraping by, a pre-packed sandwich is more than lunch. It's a budget calculation, a small guarantee that one meal is handled. But when that meal turns deadly, the betrayal cuts far beyond hunger. Imagine reaching for your turkey club only to realize you've spun the chamber of Russian roulette and found the live round hidden in multigrain bread. The words fresh and ready might as well have been stamped rotten and risky. That's not food, it's a gamble disguised in cellophane. And here's the chilling question every Costco shopper must face. If something stamped fresh can quietly deliver you to the ER, how many other glossy labels are papering over rot? What other shortcuts are being baked, boxed, and branded before being slipped into your cart? Should any American have to skim fine print recall notices just to trust a sandwich? Or is this the point where we admit that corporate convenience too often comes with a hidden cost tag, labeled risk? Yet convenience doesn't have to mean surrender. Shoppers still have safer allies. A simple DIY microwave bento box. Hard-boiled eggs, carrot sticks, cheddar cubes. Keeps every bite under your control. Vacuum-packed smoked mackerel fillets offer real protein with a visible seal you can trust. Costco's own Kirkland Greek yogurt cups deliver portion nutrition with tamper-proof lids, while Fruit So Bright fresh fruit cups let you check ripeness with your own eyes. Each of these options preserves practicality while shutting the door on invisible pathogens. So let's twist the knife and ask the question out loud. What does it say about our food system when the word fresh becomes nothing more than a mask for failure? Shouldn't corporations earn our trust instead of gambling with it? For seniors, workers, and families across America, this isn't paranoia. It's survival. Because the next convenient, lunch may not just cost a few dollars, it could cost far, far more. When trusted foods betray us, knowledge is survival. Subscribe now, reclaim safety, demand truth, and protect your plate forever.
Thank you for watching today's video all the way through. If you found the content helpful, don't forget to click like and subscribe to stay updated to our latest daily videos. Now feel free to check out other feature videos currently shown on your screen. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.